What can we say about this tapestry here, weavers?
Oh my, this is a really big tapestry.
Yeah.
And it looks like it depicts a lot of noble people doing a bunch of different things. We're seeing just a few main colors, so I'm guessing like woad for the blue, maybe madder is red. Mm-hmm. And then maybe there's a yellow that's kind of faded away.
What would have been a yellow dye back then? Do you know? Some kind of flower?
Madder, woad, and it'll come to me. Yeah. I'm sure it's something you've worked with before.
Yeah. It seems like it's woven the same way, like with the warps are this way, right? Because there's a lot of these sort of vertical lines, and it's more, it's not in quite as good condition as the floral one that we saw, but not bad. I mean, it's huge.
Bad. It's huge, and it's like, because it's so big, it's also heavier, and so just like the wear and tear is greater.
Right.
But it's got like, so I'm guessing this is like maybe 1500s or something.
Good call.
1500 to
1520.
Nice.
This is the 4th in a series of 10.
Wow.
Okay, and it's South Netherlandish, and that was like an area that was renowned for its tapestry weaving. And so this does not quite include what we would probably understand as perspective, which is where there's like a,
Right, yeah, it's a little disorienting.
It's a bit disorienting. You have a bunch of different scenes going on. And often when this was the case, you might have the same figures depicted doing a variety of things on one tapestry surface. And so if we looked really carefully, we might recognize like a similar hat or maybe a similar ermine coat.
Oh, interesting.
Similar colors. And depending on whether they're in the foreground or the background, that will indicate something about the time frame, like the sequence or the series of events.
Oh.
That's part of what makes these so hard to interpret these days, is they just don't really read in our like filmic sensibilities of today, where we're used to seeing in a film you have like a clear sequence of time, and everything that's not considered the present is like it happens before or after.
Right.
Whereas this is presenting us with the story, a variety of scenes, distributed in the foreground and the background. And it's apparently trying to help us along by labeling the various figures.
Right.
It's about the baby Jesus.
Okay.
Surprise.
We see the baby Jesus.
We see him
here.
in his really awesome
Christ is born as
starburst.
Yeah. And it's interesting that it's the bottom right, not the center or anything, And so to your point, I wonder if it's meant to be read left to right, and then bottom right is the conclusion of something?
Something. I wouldn't also be surprised if the patron is included here somewhere, because they like to, if they were paying for it, they like to insert themselves into the story.
Sense.
Because there's something going on here in the center.
In this middle part, yeah, I wonder, does she repeat,
it could be a marriage.
Oh, maybe.
Still.
This guy looks like it could be that guy, but
Okay,
he's not wearing
you're
the same
right.
outfit.
You're right, it does.
And I guess this woman might be that woman as well.
That woman, and
but also not wearing the same outfit, but like same features.
Yeah, and labeled the same, There's someone named like...
Oh yeah, Bunkis or Bunkling or... Oh yeah, no, that's definitely the same Bunkling down there and up there. Sure, that's not right. I don't even think it's... sure, I'm reading that wrong.
So another funny thing about these tapestries of this scale, like, it has this nice border. It looks like a floral border. You have like bits and pieces of like verdure around, kind of filling space here and there. Oftentimes they were kind of collages, like they would borrow the same, so the basics of tapestry weaving, as I'm sure Jessie knows, is like you basically have a designer who makes this small design, and then that's blown up into a cartoon. really tediously. People have to like draw a grid on it and then like enlarge everything piece by piece. And then the weavers weave that, so it's this like kind of art form of multiples. But those cartoons were pricey, and so you'd often like see the same scenes depicted in multiple, they'd be rewoven multiple times.
Oh, because they could kind of just like trace
reuse it.
Or
Or just like, I'll take that.
Oh, that's interesting. That makes a lot of sense.
Which is to say, like, they're almost collage-like, and especially in this era, they have that feel, you know? Also because, as you can imagine, you're an artist in this era, you can't just like photocopy a figure of a robed gentleman from National Geographic magazine. You've like done your figure drawing, and you're going to keep those figure drawings around, and you're probably going to reuse them in your paintings, in your tapestry designs. So things end up being much more, the word I don't quite know, but yeah, collage-like than you might expect.
Repetitious or like not redundant, but kind of like, but not in a bad way.
Kind
just
of like economical.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Well, that's actually something I hadn't really thought of. Of course, like, sure, with like contemporary tapestry, you would draw your picture small, and then you would use some sort of technology to blow it up, even if it's just one of those slide projectors that you then trace on the wall. Like that's still some technology that method of like, if you're working on a small like personal size, but blowing it up to this big with like gridded it out, that's a major skill just on its own, to be able to translate something small into something big and then translate it into fiber.
Which is kind of why like we can understand them as the films of the Middle Ages, right? You had a bunch of different people, a bunch of different skills, like there are, you know, gaffers and editors and blah 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 who work on films. There were cartoon makers, there were, you know, weavers, spinners, dyers, a whole bunch of people involved in making these.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Which is to say, I don't see any inscription of like the weaving workshop here. We might not know quite where to look for it, but it's something we can look for in the other tapestries.
Oh yeah. Would that be a typical thing, that it would be signed somewhere?
Often in the border it would be, but it could also be that, like, you know, if the patron was pictured, maybe that wasn't seen as necessary. It's like so interesting to see all of these textiles rendered in textile, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, all of these garments and robes and ruffs and
yeah, that's interesting.
That are, you know, woven in this technique that's called hatching, where you have, you know, two different colors kind of moving towards each other in opposite directions, and it means you can really make something look pretty three-dimensional.
Right. Yeah, even just with the few colors that they had to work with. It's not, it's kind of amazing how much detail, even like in the faces, that there's...
It's wild. It's a ton of work.
Yeah.
And there would be like weavers who specialized in faces and weavers who specialized in robes and specialized in like architectural pieces. And
because like in that last tapestry we saw where, or it wasn't a it was a tapestry, but it was embroidered, not a woven tapestry, that where they had painted on the facial details because they probably couldn't embroider it that detailed. Like, this is, those little details are all woven in. Like, that's,
with his beard.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like sideways too. Like,
so this is
like, you're not even looking, whoever made that ear, like, they weren't able to look at his face from the side, unless maybe it was woven this way, but either way, like, you're not able to see the whole thing. You're looking at it from like this angle, like from that guy's perspective.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
So these things would be like, you know, obviously signs of immense wealth.
Yeah.
Rolled up, taken from castle to castle, you know, unfurled to let the townspeople know that they were around, or like put up in the hall, like in the interior.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're kind of, I mean, they're part of a moving set of furniture that kind of moved with whoever they belonged to.
Yeah.
Right.
It was said in the description that the bishop owned 7 of 10 of these
Oh my
series.
gosh.
Oh, wow.
Rich bishop.
You know, bishop.
Yeah.
Let's see.
This is so fun.
Juan Rodriguez
Oh,
de
Fernand.
Fonseca, F-O-N-S-E-C-A, Fonseca.
Okay.
Juan Rodriguez de Fonseca, a bishop of Burgos from 1514 till 1524. I guess that was the length of time he was bishop. He was not a 10-year-old bishop.
Okay.
Right. Where's Burgos?
That I don't know.